video our work sessions. Well, then we could go to another route, but I think it's a good idea, and I think in being transparent and in being open, that would be very important. Certainly not when we go into closed session, but the regular session. And if we have a speaker or something like that, great.
How does the rest of you feel about that?
It will change, I just tell you from past experience, it will change the whole dynamic of the conversation. It will no longer be a work session. That's just been what I've
People
seen.
trying to campaign and everything else.
What?
People trying to campaign and everything else. I want y'all, Ms. Constituents, to know that I didn't vote. Is looking at the camera. That's
Speak for yourself.
I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying it does change the dynamic of the way you're able to have a conversation.
I think for those also who are already, and just looking at the council meeting, those who are somewhat shy with technology, it's going to inhibit conversation. That's just my opinion.
I just think that this is something that people, a lot of people probably don't want to say, but some people even bring questions and stuff, just so I just want my constituents to see me on TV answering this. And, you know, so it shouldn't be, it's gonna change it from a conversation to show time. I feel.
How about, because I heard particularly presentations, what about videotaping, you know, like if you had a futurist coming in or,
What? I'm sorry, what?
so I heard particularly if we're having presentations. So what about videotaping things like if you had a futurist coming in or somebody coming in
something like
talking about trends or that kind of thing, would you want to videotape those? Or you're saying no to videotaping anything related to the work session?
And I don't even know that that's a work session.
Right, that would be a
Type
special
idea.
meeting.
That's a
That would be a
different
special.
dynamic also. If you're going to
Okay.
speak and you want to have the public there, you're going to have it someplace where you can have a lot of people there. The work session area is not conducive to that.
So when we talked about extending, possibly quarterly extending work sessions, that's extending the time block, but it might be a work session and then it might be something else.
What can
I can't because I've talked to Chance and Nick about that.
let me say it'd be a different dynamic to have it videoed or what have you. I mean, what's the difference? It's still, somebody go look at the minutes and see what happened. So I mean, what makes it so much different that, I mean, I understand what you're saying. But what makes it so much different? Somebody still having access to see what was stated in the work session. There's already minutes available. People read, look through.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is what's, I mean, and I'm just asking a question, not to say I'm for or against it, but I mean, it's still, whoever's looking at the video can still pull up the minutes from the last work session and whatever was said was said.
Well, that's-
Well, I would only point out that we already have citizens who take the work session, put it on the video, and they can edit it any way they want. Whereas we didn't the entire work session.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think we have to be mindful for me is that it is a work session for city council, it is not a show.
Right.
For the public are welcome to come, but they can't speak. And so I think we have to be considerate, I'm considerate of people that say that they don't wanna come to City Hall, but sometimes people just don't wanna come downtown because they just don't wanna come downtown.
Yes.
And
That's
no,
right.
pass
That's
now,
true.
that's the truth.
That's true.
Now, it's not about coming to City Hall, they just don't wanna come downtown because I'm scared to come downtown at night by myself. That perception has to change. And we cannot continue to keep saying, well, you know, they live in the central part of the city and they wanna come down. Well, you know what, City Hall business is done at City Hall. And City Hall just happens to be downtown. Well, really, it's Overtown. Praise God. It's really Overtown, it's not really downtown. Downtown is Jefferson Avenue, if you're from Brook. But anyway, I'm just saying, I just don't think it needs to be a show and tell. But if we have the capabilities to video something, a speaker or whatever, you know, and air that, that's fine, but I don't think it's something that we have to do consistently because it is a work session. That's just me.
And it really, if people wanna see it, they can just make it a, it's not like we keep people out. They can just come to the city hall.
People can't leave their jobs at 1 o'clock in the
A
afternoon.
lot of this, people, we're at a time where we have at least 5 generations on this earth, and a lot of that first one, they're retired, they're at home. And if they wanna come, a lot of people can come.
Well, I'll speak to that, because, yeah, people do have jobs, and even for me, it's hard for me to get out sometimes to attend a work session, so I agree with you on that, but everybody can always make it to a work session, especially those earlier ones. And just due to the fact they gotta be at work.
Well, they have to be at work, but they can come to a work session, but what is it that they're gonna say?
They don't say anything.
That's my whole point.
But
It's a work session for city council,
But
that's
it's
my whole
still,
point.
but it's open
It's
to the
But it's-
public,
but that's
and
not
everybody
what we
can't
do.
get there.
But everybody can't get to everything we go to either. If that's the case, they need to just get on our calendar and they can just
I
ride along
understand
with
that, but I
us.
can't agree with that, because of the fact that if people want to be involved, we always talk about we want people to be involved, correct? So, everybody can't always make it to where it says, a lot of people, we talk about new ways, technology, people stream stuff, people looking, we can't always get there everywhere we want to get to.
I agree, but I don't think that we need to start checking, well, that, you know, we don't. But I think we have to just consider that the work session is a work session for city council. And if they can't get there, it's not gonna stop because they can't get there. And even if they came, it still will proceed as it is scheduled, whether they're there or not. And so it's not a matter of whether or not it's convenient for them. We have to adjust our schedules to make it to the work session anyway.
Correct.
They will not, but we still get there.
I know I do, so I
Yeah,
can speak to
yeah.
that, 'cause I gotta,
Yeah, we gotta do what
Everybody
we, so
can.
we have to do what we have to do too to get there.
Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question? Has there been, have you all heard feedback from the community that this is an issue?
I have,
I have not.
Not at all.
I have heard people say they wish they could get to the work session, I have. Now, not to say it's a large number of people, but, you know. Especially when it's a pressing matter that people are passionate about.
So what do you want to do on this issue?
well, it sounds like the majority of people don't like. I'm like, if we have our own version, whereas people can come in.
And that's another thing, when people
Yeah.
can
Well, we
manipulate.
do have the minutes.
Yeah, that's true,
And it is an informal,
Yeah, we do
it's
have
not
the
an
minutes.
informal meeting, so.
but I don't,
Yeah, we do have
I
that.
personally,
And I can, whichever way you decide, the distinction is you mentioned it as a work session, and there is no action taken in those work sessions. There is ultimately a process, and you work through details, you get things to the point that it's ready to go public. And that's when you have, it's in the public and it's in the evening. I'm just making that distinction for you. Very rarely, if I seen anybody act on anything, that's a precursor to getting on a public session where it is on TV. Now, if there's something that, to Dr. Terry's point, when they come to work sessions, they can't speak on issues. So I get that, I absolutely get that people would want to be there, so I'm not speaking either way, I'm just, there is a process. You have a work session, and very few items that are of any substance don't go through a work session and end up at a regular session that are public and in the evening.
The other piece of that is that
And taped, they are,
Tape.
no, actually, they're live.
things can change between work session and 7 o'clock. I mean, we can have a whole bunch of conversation about something that we may vote on at 7, but things can change between that time, what you hear and then how it's voted on, if we have to vote on something that night.
Oh, and most of the time, though, we have tried to make that distinction. If you do it at this meeting, then you're not considering it that same night. There's the opportunity for additional
Right.
input. So I said I get I'm in the middle on this one.
So the issue's been raised, it sounds like for now, it's maybe video if you have a special speaker or a presentation or something that might be worth sharing with the public, but otherwise, keep the work sessions a work session.
I said we got a bell curve.
Okay. Well, and, you know, try it out and see what it does, if you want to revisit it. But it sounds, for purposes of today, it sounds like there isn't agreement to change it. Is that?
That's what I'm.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to continue moving on is what I want to do. So we've addressed these items on our parking lot. We had some next steps over here. Obviously, as we've talked about the strategic plan and the process moving forward on that, so I think we've already covered that.